My name is Angel Lateral, and when it comes to practicing law, I resonate with the human spirit just as much as the judicial system. This isn't your typical business legal advice show, and I'm not your typical lawyer. As an attorney, I have over 16 years of legal experience in the areas of business law and estate planning. As a project manager, I love building and nurturing systems that work. And as a certified guide in the lineage of King Solomon, transformation consultant, and practicing Buddhist, I know this all starts with a healthy mindset. Welcome to the Laws of Abundance podcast. Legal advice from an angel. I'm your host, Angel Lateral. Part 1, November 2022. Are you okay? My good friend asked me on the phone a couple days ago, and I couldn't answer him because I was holding back the tears of my grief. My greatest temptation took a huge piece of my heart with it. I didn't want this post about rhythm to be part 2 of Angel's traumatic relationship loss story. But I had to let that go because this is the story that happened, and it is a fine example of the pendulum swing in my life. It is also how I used my practice of service to others and meditation to neutralize it. I have been awake, but living a nightmare. The nightmare began the day I found out about her. The nightmare most recently came to form in a social media profile picture. There, my alleged life partner was walking down the aisle in holy matrimony with her, the other woman, his gut-wrenching secret, only 3 short months after I found out about her, and thus ended us. This nightmare evokes a soul-crushing, what the fuck? Intellectually, in that moment, upon seeing the picture, I knew that I had dodged a bullet of crazy, that the drama train had left the station without me on it. I should be relieved, say good riddance, sayonara. I'm moving on without that weight of irresponsibility strapped to my ankle. But the emotional me, the part that loved so deeply and believed in what their best friend shared with them, is crying her eyes out. A wounded and broken child experiencing betrayal of the deepest kind, the knife turning yet again into a deeply broken heart. I don't want my choices to affect you, he said the moment I found out about her. I wanted to stab him with my ceremonial athame, but instead of committing murder, I told him I would be removing myself from this fucked up friendship so I can heal and no longer be subjected to his selfish and hurtful choices. So the law of rhythm states, everything flows in and out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The Kybalion. Because I know the Hermetic principle, I haven't acted on hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Oh, I so want to unblock his wife on Facebook and tell her all the ways he's lied to her, and that her marriage is based on a falsity, and that I curse them both to a life of unhappiness and complete lack of joy. But that action would only result in a traumatic and dramatic rhythm swing reaction to the other way, bouncing back at me worse than any fury I can deliver in their direction. Because that is the law. Every action has a reaction. Tide goes out and tide goes in. This is the way. Humans experience great joy. Humans experience great sorrow. That is, if they have the capacity for both. Now, I've been grieving this relationship since August, despite my best efforts to move on. And why? Because I didn't neutralize. I instead hung on to the attachment. I thought our civility, our friendship, was actually fulfilling a need of mine. And maybe, because of the continued lies on his part, I had some twisted hope that he'd come back to me, that he'd let go of this psycho bitch he cheated on me with. I just had to bide my time, do my work, and it would all work out. This was likely an extended denial of my grief at the loss of my lover and best friend, without the closure or explanation or apology. I burned all of his gifts to me in the temple at Burning Man, but it didn't cut the cord. And I kept getting pulled back in. So my poor, broken heart was broken multiple times in multiple ways because I was unwilling to just cut the cord. Then I think of the joy and the elation I experienced in the relationship. Laughter and dancing, sharing of tarot and rune spreads, the feeling that someone truly listened and understood me and accepted me no matter what, holding me up and supporting me unconditionally. I had never had that before in a relationship. Here was a person willing to do their work with me, or so it seemed, until it got hard and they started drinking again. Pendulum swing, great joy, great sorrow. And even though I volunteered to give up my normal life for one of service and true joy, the ripping away of that, my greatest temptation, took a huge piece of my heart with it. And my grief is as if someone died. Because they did. The man who was my best friend and honorable lover is dead to me. The man that exists is a scared, hurt child, incapable of loving anyone. An energy not worthy of my time or my effort, because we are not in alignment. I have to feel the grief without giving in to the rage and drama monster that wants to come out. I have to declare boundaries to prevent myself from swimming into the toxic forgiveness pool to stay this man's friend. Part 2, January 2023. Since writing Part 1, I've learned a couple things. 1, love bombing is what a narcissist does to reel you into their world and enlist you in their menagerie. Narcissists use people, and then they cast them aside when their need for you is fed or you are used up and they can't get what they want from you anymore. My ex love bombed me because he is a classic narcissist, and I fulfilled a need. He immediately enlisted me in his children's life because he needed someone like me to take care of them because he was functionally and emotionally abandoning them. I thought it was because he trusted me, that he was so vulnerable, bringing me deep inside his life so soon. No, I was just an easy target. I gave him the keys to how to manipulate me in our first 24 hours together, and he used all of them. Since cutting him off, he's tried to keep the lines of communication open with me. Communication for a space to vent, someone to loan him money, or a place to run away from his crazy new bride. On New Year's, he asked me if I could store all of his stuff with me so he could leave his wife. The past few months have been very hard for me, he said like a pathetic man-child. I could laugh at his level of ego, and if I hadn't moved on, I would have been pulled right back into his crazy train. But I let his pendulum swing without me in the equation. Told him he'd have to leave his wife without my help, and this situation was not for me to be involved in. His lesson is now to manage his own karma. Shockingly, I have not heard from him since proving my narcissist theory. I'm discarded now because I offer nothing more to him. I'm not useful to his story of victim. As I'm now clear of his toxic tentacles, I've mourned the death of the person I was in love with. I'm now free of the swings of emotion. I've reclaimed my power and neutralized the rhythm of this negative vibration in my life. How? Prayer, meditation, ritual, truth-telling, patience, energy healing, service, literally moving across the country and starting over. And vitamin D is a cure for a lot of things, and the sunlight, quiet, and the rest of my home in northern Florida have given me perspective. But mostly it's been the time, the honesty, and the forgiveness of myself that broke the pattern. So lovely humans, I hope to post another podcast before 5 months go by again. But in the meantime, please take the principles of rhythm to heart. We cannot escape the tides of fate, but we can neutralize the drama train, the pendulum swing in our lives by choosing to be above engagement in it. It really is a ride we can step off. If you would like to learn how, I can help with that. Reach out. I would love to work with you. Thank you for allowing me to help you prosper. If you like this podcast, please review and subscribe. You can find out more about me at laterallaw.com/Laws of Abundance podcast. I'm your host, Angel Lateral, and I can help with that.